July 29th, 2026. A quiet Wednesday at Egypt's Mediterranean coast. The Damietta Port, one of Egypt's busiest shipping hubs. Ships coming and going, business as usual. Then, without warning, a drone. It slams directly into a U.S.-owned gas storage tanker named the Energos Winter. The explosion is massive. The fire spreads to a second vessel, a Greek-owned tanker nearby. Flames visible for miles. Within hours, Cairo confirms it. This was a drone strike. The first time Egyptian soil has been directly hit since the U.S.-Iran war began in February. 5 months of conflict, 5 months of escalation, and now a new front. The question everyone is asking, was this Iran? Was this a message? And what happens when a war that started between two countries starts pulling in everyone else? Let's rewind. To understand why a drone hitting a port in Egypt matters, you need to understand the war itself. February 28, 2026. The United States and Israel launch a joint military operation against Iran. The stated objective? Degrade Iran's nuclear capabilities and its Revolutionary Guard infrastructure. What was supposed to be a limited operation became something much bigger. March-April, Iran retaliates. Ballistic missiles target U.S. bases across the Middle East, Kuwait, Bahrain, Jordan, Saudi Arabia. The Strait of Hormuz becomes a battleground. Oil prices spike 40%. May, a brief ceasefire. Diplomacy in Oman. Talks about reopening the strait. Hopes rise, then collapse. June, the ceasefire shatters. Iran launches drones at a cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. responds with airstrikes on IRGC targets. The cycle of retaliation resumes. July, the most intense phase yet. 13 consecutive nights of U.S. strikes on Iran. Then a pause. Then Iran's Revolutionary Guards attempt a surprise ballistic missile attack on U.S. forces. It fails, but the message is clear. Iran is not backing down. And now, July 29. The Egypt strike. What actually happened? Let's break down exactly what happened at Damietta. The Energos Winter is a floating gas storage and regasification unit. It's essentially a floating LNG terminal. It receives liquefied natural gas, converts it back to gas, and feeds it into Egypt's energy grid. It's owned by a U.S. company, and on July 29, it was sitting at berth in Damietta Port. A drone, reportedly an Iranian-designed Shahed-type loitering munition, flew directly into the vessel. The explosion triggered a massive fire. The flames jumped to a nearby Greek-owned tanker. 2 ships burning simultaneously at one of Egypt's most critical ports. Egypt's oil ministry confirmed. No injuries, no deaths. But the symbolic damage was enormous. Egypt, a country that has carefully stayed neutral in the Iran war, had just been hit. Critical context. The Suez Canal is 50 kilometers from Damietta. 50 kilometers. The Suez Canal handles roughly 12% of global trade. If the conflict spreads to the canal zone, why Egypt matters. The strategic chessboard. Egypt is not just another Middle Eastern country. It's the most populous Arab nation, 110 million people. It controls the Suez Canal. It has the largest military in the Arab world. And it has a peace treaty with Israel that is held for over 45 years. Egypt receives $1.3 billion annually in U.S. military aid. It's one of America's closest Arab allies. It also maintains diplomatic relations with Iran. Limited, but functional. Cairo has spent the last 5 months walking a tightrope, not condemning Iran openly, not joining the U.S. coalition, not picking a side. That tightrope just snapped. The drone strike forces Egypt to respond. If Cairo does nothing, it looks weak. If it retaliates openly against Iran, it becomes a direct combatant in a war it never wanted. If it blames the U.S. for bringing the war to Egyptian soil, it jeopardizes decades of strategic partnership. There's a crucial detail that most coverage is missing. Just 2 days before the Damietta strike, Iran had publicly marked Egyptian ports as potential targets, retaliation for a Ukrainian strike in the Caspian Sea that hit Iranian assets. Iran accused Ukraine of operating from regional bases, and Egypt's ports were specifically named in Iranian state media as legitimate targets. This wasn't random, this was calculated. The wider war. Escalation on all fronts. While Egypt burns, the war continues on multiple fronts. Front 1, the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have declared the strait will remain closed. This is the world's most important oil choke point. 20% of global oil passes through it. Oil prices are already up 35% since February. If the closure becomes permanent, we could be looking at $150 per barrel. Front 2, the Saudi alliance. Saudi Arabia has just proposed a 14-country maritime defense alliance to protect shipping. 14 countries, including Egypt, Pakistan, Turkey, Jordan, and several African nations. This is unprecedented. The Saudis are building a coalition that could fundamentally reshape Middle Eastern geopolitics and potentially draw even more countries into direct confrontation with Iran. Front 3, U.S. politics. Hours ago, the U.S. Senate voted 49-50 on a war powers resolution aimed at limiting Trump's authority over the Iran war. It failed by 1 vote. This was the 13th time the Senate has voted on Iran war powers since January. 13 votes. The war has become a political battlefield as much as a military one. Mid-roll CTA. We're connecting dots that most news outlets are covering separately. If you want analysis that puts the full picture together, subscribe and